सेव किया था ना?
मैं सिर्फ इसलिए गया था क्योंकि उसने मुझे कॉल किया, that's it. But listen तो.
Save it for someone else.
जिंदगी में सेव करना जरूरी है, मगर जब बात पैसों की हो, सिर्फ सेविंग से काम नहीं चलेगा। इक्विटी म्यूचुअल फंड्स में इन्वेस्ट कीजिए और अपने सेविंग्स को आगे बढ़ने का मौका दीजिए।
Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme-related documents carefully.
The entire country is fixated on the brutal killing of the young Mumbai woman, Shraddha Walkar in Delhi. She was apparently in a live-in relationship with Aftab Poonawalla, who she had met on a dating website and had been with him for a long time. And it is believed and alleged that Aftab it is who killed her, allegedly, killed her, cut her body into pieces, and then disposed them off by way of hiding them over a period of time. That this murder took place 6 months back or almost 6 months back makes it that much tougher to crack it, because you know what? In a court of law, you need evidence. We've seen very sound cases or what look like open and shut cases ending in either no conviction or a reversal of conviction. We saw in the Arushi murder case, that was the dentist couple's daughter in Noida. We also saw recently in the Kiran Negi rape and murder case. So evidence collection is very important. The second thing is that as we are following this story, because there is so much attention on this story, you find the media, especially TV, daily coming up with something or the other. People have done piece to cameras in front of refrigerators, etc. People have violated the crime scene many times over, many dozens of times over. And in this process, there is a lot of confusion. So stories are lurid, right? And you don't know what to believe, what not to believe. So what can we do? This is the most important story of this week and of some time. Everybody is focused on it. Everybody is also getting confused with all the news and all the rumor and all the, I would say also regrettably, fabrications and sort of sexing of the story that's coming in. Now to declutter that, maybe I could have read up everything and I could have got our reporters to brief me. But even then, I would have struggled in doing it because this is such a complex story. So what can I do? I'm doing the best I can do, which is to get Ananya Bhardwaj, my colleague here, who's been on top of this story as on many other stories, as on the top of many other stories. So we will do an unusual or unconventional episode of Cut The Clutter today, where I will raise some of the most key points of clutter with Ananya. And Ananya, you have to do the answering. And sometimes we'll engage with each other a little bit on this. So what I've done is, because fixed numbers work, so I have taken 10 questions. So for simplicity, before I start this conversation with Ananya, let me list the 10 questions I'm going to asking her. So number 1, there's been lurid reporting of the crime. What exactly has the police found out yet? Number 2, the murder took place several months ago. Can blood still be found? Because there are stories of blood stains being found. Number 3, the fridge is being swabbed now by the police. Now, what kind of evidence can be found from the fridge now? Because he's cleaned the fridge many times, must have. And also because she was in the same house, the house will have a DNA anyway. Number 4, what do they expect from narco analysis? What has been the record of narco analysis in the part and what have the courts said on this? Next, number 5, is it correct that she was at least once hospitalized with injuries which apparently she suffered because of domestic violence? If such a thing happened, why couldn't the police have done something about it? Number 6, why the neighbors did not report the violence? What's the state of India's community policing? Number 7, why was she reluctant to leave Aftab despite the history of violence? Number 8, 3 other similar murders have come up, particularly from Jabalpur, Jalandhar, etc. What are the risks women should be watching for in these relationships? Number 9, dating apps. We know that she found out that Aftab was probably dating other women or talking to them, and that led to this trouble. And there are also stories that he brought other dates also to the house later, again having met them on dating apps. So what are these dating apps and what are the safety standards there? By the way, our colleague, that is Shubhangi Mishra, working on a story on these dating apps, particularly on the safety aspect. Please watch out for that. And number 10, the final question. If you look at all the data, even if you see anecdotally, you find so many murder cases, murder and rape cases, gang rape and murder cases, they do not end in conviction. We just saw recently the Kiran Negi case. So why is it so that so many cases do not end in conviction and the criminal gets away with it? And what can be done to improve these conviction rates? Right? So those 10 questions I will now reel out one after the other. And Ananya, आप तैयार हो जाइए, आपका अभी एग्जाम वाइवा शुरू हो गया है, ठीक है ना?
I'll try.
So the first question, there's been a lot of lurid reporting. So what exactly is it that the police has found out yet? You know, किसी ने बोला कि he took out her intestines and made keema out of them. Somebody said he took out the liver. Then I saw a psychologist being interviewed. I think it was on Network 18 channel or whatever it's called now, on one of the primetime shows, who said, oh, he took out the intestine and liver. So what chemical did he use? Now, first of all, which school of psychology told our eminent psychologist that you need a chemical to take out somebody's intestines and liver? But that is only one of the examples. So there is a lot of stuff floating. So you give us an idea, our viewers an idea of what exactly has the police found out yet.
So when we are talking about a murder case like this, the killing has happened 6 months ago. There is a story that the accused is narrating. So he has given in his disclosure statement a detailed version.
This is a written statement.
This is a written statement under 161 CRPC that an accused gives to the police.
But then 161 CRPC, as I understand, is not binding in a court of law.
Yes,
he can
absolutely.
go back on it. He can say this was under duress.
Under duress, yes, absolutely. He can say that it was taken under duress, and even though he doesn't say it, it doesn't stand in court unless and until the police corroborates each and every claim that has been made in that statement with either witnesses or material evidence. Now, when we say material evidence, that can be digital evidence, that can be forensic evidence, and in this case, forensic is going to play a major role. Now, when you ask me what the police has till now, unfortunately, there is nothing. Now, they are going step by step. Whether Shraddha was actually staying in that house, they have to establish that as well. The body parts that everybody is reporting that were found in Mehrauli jungle during those search operations, those 13 bones that have been found, whether they belong to Shraddha or are these someone else's bones.
But have they concluded that these are human bones?
They have not yet said anything about it. What they have said that we have got 13 bones. Right now we just did a story as well that they have found that among those 13 bones is a pelvic bone. So if it's a pelvic bone, that establishes...
This is pelvic.
Yes. So next to the lumbar. Yes. So that is like a U-shaped, V-shaped kind of bone that they have found. And they are saying that at least this much is established that it's a mortal remain of a human being. So it is not a bone of, say, an animal, because that jungle has a lot of bones scattered anyway. There are cows that die. There are suicides, in fact, that happen in that jungle. There are unidentified bodies that rot over time. So which is why it becomes very difficult to ascertain. So what is most important right now in the case is to ascertain that whatever they have found, those bones belong to Shraddha or not. And that will be done through a DNA analysis.
So have they at least said that this bone, this pelvic bone, is a woman's bone?
Yes. So they have said that
the construction of a male and female pelvis is very different.
So they say it appears to be that of a woman's. But now we have sent it for a forensic DNA analysis, and DNA will be extracted from those bones. And what will happen is that a DNA sample has also been taken from Shraddha's father. So they will have to match those two DNAs. In case they match, then it's a clear-cut thing that those bones belong to Shraddha. So that's a very, very big evidence.
But would they also have a way of finding Shraddha's DNA from the past? Maybe from a blood donation, maybe from a surgical procedure.
Yes, so they are looking into it, that because they have also gotten in touch with some of the doctors that Shraddha used to go to, saying that if they would have any blood sample that she must have given at that time. But then that is very difficult right now because it's been so many months, and when she had gone to that doctor in 2020. So it's very difficult to say that, to get that DNA
so the
from
father's
there.
DNA is crucial.
Father's DNA is crucial, and the search in the house, because they are still looking that in some of her clothes, maybe her hair strand, they will get something of that sort, or maybe from the nail clippers they might get, say, something about from the nails. So DNA is everywhere, right? So if I'm staying in my house, my DNA is going to be everywhere because I'm using the towel, I'm using a soap, I'm using a comb. So they have lifted a lot of those things from the house, but they have not yet really said anything concrete on this. So they have not been able to establish yet that these bones are of Shraddha, or she lived there, or this murder happened. So they have to prove that this murder happened, and this evidence is very crucial.
So right now they just have this statement from this guy,
That's it.
which he's at liberty to resile from, and
Yes.
which the accused usually do.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
So next question. The murder took place several months ago. Can blood still be found? Because there are stories about blood stains having been found. So 6 mahina, how do you know? Can blood survive? And can those things then be open to DNA testing? And what is luminol? I keep hearing about it.
So when a crime happens, now what is the biggest challenge in front of the police is that the crime scene is totally compromised. So it is not that the crime happened, now the body has been found, and now they seal the area, they sanitize it, and then they start picking up clues. The room has been washed, cleaned so many times in those 6 months. So many people have come and gone. This guy had been living in the house for that long. So the crime scene is totally compromised. That is why it's a big challenge. So when the forensics team usually visit, like in this case, when they visited the house, what they've done now is there are sprays and scanners that the forensic teams have. So these basically what they do is that they put it on the walls and they put it on the floor. And if there are any sort of fingerprints, they just emboss so that you can see them. And there are heavy UV lights also that they carry, which they usually call blue lights. So
UV is ultraviolet.
Yes. So they carry those, and that is how they do an extensive search of the house. So in this case also, when they say that they have found some spots, they are saying that these are spots that appear to be blood spots. Now, if the person, this accused, has said that I've cleaned up the house or scrubbed it several times, so it is really difficult to say that, those blood spots are those of Shraddha. Again, they have been sent for forensic analysis. We don't know yet. It can be goat blood. It can be anything.
It can be chicken, goat, anything.
Exactly. It can be anything. But what is relevant here is that even if he has cleaned up the house totally, like from what we know in this case, that after killing Shraddha, he took the body to the bathroom, and that is where he did the chopping. So now if he did the chopping there must have been blood that went into, say, the sink or in the bathroom. Yeah. So the tiles on the floor of the bathroom, what they'll do is they'll pluck out those tiles. So the cracks in between those tiles might have the DNA, because the blood, obviously the water seeps in through the tiles. He must not have scrubbed it so well.
How good are our forensic labs? Can they pick up such minute amounts of DNA?
Absolutely. It is possible if they say...
So our labs are good enough?
Till now, from what we've seen in past cases, because in this also, they are quite hopeful, the police, because what they're lifting is, like I said, the samples from under the tiles. Then there are areas in the sink also where humanly it's not possible to clean everything. The pipe through which the water goes. So if he would have washed his hands, say there was blood on his hands, and if it would have gone through the pipes, they'll take that pipe, or those dingy dark corners. So they're scanning everything, hoping that they would get something. And that these are techniques that are being used.
So the fridge, they're swabbing the fridge. First of all, what would be left in the fridge by now? And second, she was living in the house. So her DNA will be in the fridge, etc. anyway, because you would presume that she was using the fridge.
Yes. But it also depends on if she had, say, left some leftover food in the fridge that she might have eaten and then left it over in the fridge. But what this man did was that he cleaned the fridge thoroughly, but he must not have rinsed it with something. He must have scrubbed it, but in the corners, say if he has stuffed the entire body, or say, from what he has said in his disclosure statement, that the head was inside the house. So if he has done so much, then some strand of hair may be stuck somewhere, or in between those cabinets there must be something. So that is what they're hopeful about. They've sent the fridge also because it's a relevant and crucial part in this entire case. Because in the story, he has said that the body was there for so many days.
But we know that because that should be on the record, that fridge was bought online after the death.
Yes.
After the death.
Yes, because so from what we know.
And did he also buy a saw online?
No, there's no. He didn't buy it online, but he purchased it somewhere between Delhi and Gurgaon. That's what they are saying. But again, it's his claim that it is a 1 foot long saw, and that's what I used.
But he can't take the police to the shop where he bought it?
He doesn't know. So that's why the police are saying that, he's misleading us. Because once he says that I purchased it from this shop, then he say, I don't remember, it's been long since I had gone to. Then he also said that there is another person, I told him to get it for me because I wanted to fix something in my house. So there are also a lot of discrepancies in the statements that he's giving the police.
Yeah. Next question 4. What do they expect from narco analysis? What has happened with narco analysis in other cases? What have the courts said? What are the precedents?
So usually they inject a medicine in you, and that is how the narco analysis test happens. There are set...
It's a very old technology.
Very old technology. There are set
pre-Nazi
questions.
Times.
Yes.
Yes.
So there are set questions that they ask. But again, a narco test is not admissible in court as evidence.
Yes.
So that is a very important point here. And in fact, when we were talking to the police, there was a question that was raised that why are you hurrying up so much with the narco analysis? Because it can also go against them in the case. We had seen a case in Bombay in which the accused, in fact, he was accused of 3 murders. And when the narco analysis happened, he said, I have done 42 murders. So now the police was like, but we have only 3 bodies. And then whatever he had admitted in his disclosure statement, the narco was completely opposite. So these are the issues that come for once.
Can people crack the narco test? In the sense that can they fudge?
There are allegations that it can be done.
I know, we know that Michael Douglas did so in Basic Instinct.
I mean, we have heard stories, in fact, of this happening as well. So
either side can fudge it.
Absolutely.
Either side. So the alleged criminal can find a way of, if criminal is really clever,
right,
can walk around it,
right,
or prosecutors can fix it and give you some report. Okay. So question number 5. At least once it's reported that she was hospitalized because of injuries. Do we know anything more about that incident? And in these cases, when a woman comes to a hospital particularly, battered by a male partner, what does the police do?
Sadly, nothing, because if that's the prerogative of the woman, the choice of the woman to give a complaint or to say that I don't want to complain. In cases of sexual assault, it is different. So if it's a case of rape, then the hospital will not treat you unless they inform the police. But this, if often we have seen in cases that of domestic abuse, that women will go to the hospital, but they will not obviously say how they got battered or what happened to them. Doctors would know, everybody knows, but then they would not admit it. So same happened with her also. So she had injuries. And from what we have gathered from her friends and family, that she had a toxic relationship with Aftab. And there had been past instances wherein they had
not just
fights.
Toxic, it was toxic and physically violent.
Absolutely. So they'd had fights before. In fact, she had also confided in her mother, who died in 2020, that this is what he does to me. She had also told a friend that I want to get out of this relationship because he's abusive. So in 2020, now we are told that she had gone to a doctor with bruises on her face. Maybe, there was another altercation that happened and Aftab did that to her. So in these cases, police, unless the woman wants to complain or say that this is what is happening to me, says it, suo moto cannot take any action, or they cannot, or the hospital cannot inform the police and say take action against her husband or partner.
Yeah.
So it's the woman who has to come forward.
Okay, so the question number 6. Why did the neighbors not intervene or report to the police when they heard noises of violence and when they saw and heard the evidence of violence?
So in this case, they had only moved into the house 2 to 3 days before this happened. So it's not that they had been living in this Mehrauli house for very long. They just shifted 3 days ago, and then on the third day this happened. So from what we know from the police, whatever he has told them in the interrogation, is that on that day they had a fight because she saw some messages, some chats on Aftab's phone of some other woman, and that was the trigger. So they started having an argument, and then in that he then pinned her down and tried to cover her face and then strangled her to death. Now, in fact, my colleague Bismi had gone to the spot and spoken to neighbors. None of them were really saying that we heard any noises or any sort of violence. Otherwise, we would have alerted the police. What they said, in fact, was that we just saw Aftab going to the terrace to check the water tank. That maybe because, he was washing up the body, washing up the floor and everything. So he used to go often to check.
So I see also just connected with this story in some of the papers today that he was consuming a lot of water. While Delhi government lets you consume some 20,000 liters for free, his water consumption was very high. He may have been bathing 10 times in a day, I don't know. But have you heard that also a little bit?
I read stories that the water bill was more than 300 rupees, or he had to pay this much, but not that somebody has told me that. They just said that of course he was checking the water again, and that's what neighbors have also told the police. So obviously he was consuming a lot more water than he must have usually been doing because of a body lying at home. So you have to, each time he must be cutting, he would be taking a bath or something of that sort, which is why. But not that he was using more water, and that is why he paid those 300 rupees.
So question number 7. Why do you think was she reluctant to leave Aftab despite this violent relationship? Are there precedents? Is this some kind of a trend or a common occurrence?
I really can't say why she did not, because she was in an abusive relationship, but that is not something new that has happened with women in the past. We have seen so many cases of domestic violence, domestic abuse, not just women from a certain strata, but also from every strata. We have seen women who don't want to complain against their partners or don't want to come forward to complain. In fact, she has, as I said, had been confiding in her mother, in her father. In fact, we spoke to him and he said that so many times I told her that if he beats you up, if this relationship is not working out, I anyway told you that he's not a nice guy, come back. But she always told him that no, he'll be a changed man. So I think somewhere in her head she thought that probably he'd change or something will get better. That's why they also moved from Bombay. So thinking that probably they will get married. So they had friends, but one thing that her friends told us was that after she started living in with Aftab, she started cutting off from her friends. So maybe that also, he didn't want her to be in touch with her friends.
Now question number 8. I hear about at least 3 similar murders that have taken place, I think including one in Jabalpur, one in Jalandhar, fairly recently. So what exactly happened there? How are these similar? And what are the signs that women should be watching out for?
I think the first red flag is any form of abuse. If your partner has hit you once, then there is no going back from that. That should tell you that this is an abusive relationship, and that realization is very important in women. I think they keep putting it off in their head that maybe, he loves me or I love him or it will be better. But that is never going to get better, because if he's raised his hand once, he's going to do it again. So that is the sign, that is the first sign that one should be looking for in a relationship, which is this toxic. Secondly, you're talking about other cases. So, of course, Shraddha's case, this case, actually, this sort of a brutal murder has come to fore after a long time. We had seen the Burari case last, which was like a mass suicide. It wasn't a murder, but Burari case was the last big crime story that we had reported, which was two to 3 years ago. But yes, similar cases like in Jabalpur, like a Jalandhar, in a suitcase, pieces were found of a woman. But there have been cases that we have seen, in Dehradun, there was a case where 300 pieces, the accused had claimed that I killed my partner and did 300 pieces of her. That was a case. Then we have seen the Sushil, that tandoor murder case wherein he killed his wife and then put her in the tandoor to dispose of the body. So these are not unusual. I mean, these are once in a while kind of crime cases, but not that we have not heard of them before or we have not covered them before. So there have been these cases.
Question number 9. She found out, as you say, probably that he was also talking with other women.
Yeah.
And then stories have come out that he was dating other women also, or that he had also brought other women to his house after the murder. Now, what are these dating apps? What are the safety standards there? And what is it that can make them safer, particularly for women, from situations like these?
So these dating apps now have become, very popular among youngsters. There is Bumble, there's Tinder, there's Hinge, there's Coffee and Bagel. Anybody can have an account or make an account on these apps. All you need is a phone number and a social media account. Say if I want to create a profile on Tinder or on Bumble where Shraddha and Aftab had met, I can create it through my Facebook, through my Instagram account. All I need is a phone number. There is no KYC system as such wherein I have to provide them with my identity proofs like an Aadhaar card or a driving license. There is, in some apps like Bumble, there is also a self-verification feature in which all they ask you for is a selfie. So you click a selfie and you upload it, and then the app verifies it with your linked social media account like Facebook or Instagram, whatever you're using to say make an account on that app. So there's a report abuse feature in which if I am going out on a date, say on Tinder, and that person misbehaves with me, or I don't feel comfortable on that date or feel threatened, then I can report that profile. So once I report that profile, it comes into the notice of the app, and it's their discretion to whether block that person or issue a warning. So in most cases, there are 3 warnings that are issued, and if that account is, say, reported time and again, after 3 times, it is blocked. So that is the only safety net as of now that most of these apps are providing, not making it a very safe space.
These apps don't have the equivalent of a KYC.
No, actually not, and that is why I think there's a problem here, because all you need is a social media account and a phone number to make an account on these apps, which is why you find a lot of, I keep hearing from people that I met a very weird person today, this is what he was saying, and they were just looking for a one night stand, and he did not talk to me properly, or he touched me inappropriately. So these are a lot of like harrowing stories women narrate while going on after coming back from these dates. So, but if there is a KYC of sorts where you are linking all your Aadhaar cards and etc., all your identity cards etc. with this, then probably there'll be more accountability. But right now, all you need is a phone number and a social media handle like a Facebook or an Instagram account through which you can really get into these apps and start meeting people.
Finally, my 10th question, Ananya, and that's a question on everybody's minds. That we see data and we keep seeing stories all the time, even anecdotally, that a lot of murder cases do not end in conviction. So like one headline became immortal, nobody killed Jessica Lal. Now we can say nobody killed and raped Kiran Negi also. So why do more than half the murder cases end in no conviction?
So,
and what can be done to improve this?
We always hear that the most important and significant part of any conviction would be evidence. So that is what the case rests on. So if there is material evidence, forensic evidence that proves that this crime happened, then it leads to conviction. But no, there are other things as well. When you talk about trial in district court, when you talk about procedural lapses that police does while investigating a case, and these are the points that the defense really highlights while the trial is on. So like in the Kiran Negi case that you pointed out, the major part why this case fell was because of procedural lapses by the police while they were investigating
so
the case.
Can I say that in many cases we might find that the police are in too much of a hurry because they think, plus they are overworked.
Yes.
There is an open and shut case, isme kya karna hai, and the lawyers are getting smarter.
Right, absolutely, and that is what happened in Kiran Negi case as well. One point while I was going through the judgment, one crucial evidence that is found next to Kiran's body is a wallet which has the PAN card of the accused. Now they forget to put that in the seizure memo. Now that's such a big, you don't do that as a police officer if you don't, if you're getting that evidence which directly corroborates the fact that the accused was with the victim. Yes, he was present on the crime scene, is the wallet and the PAN card identification proof that they got, and they forgot to put it in the seizure memo. Later, the defense said that the evidence was planted, and he can say that.
That police may have just put it there. Yes.
Absolutely. Then there's a timeline that that's the time that when we made the arrest. This is the time that we went to the spot and saw this. So that report was not clear. The timestamps were not matching with what they said in the cross-examination during the trial. The witnesses that were examined, there were some 41 witnesses, out of which 10 were not examined at all, cross-examination. So these are the things that the defense really highlighted, and that is what led to the acquittal finally, because the judge said that it doesn't prove that, and I want to point out that this case had terrific forensic evidence which proved that the girl was murdered, the woman was raped. There was DNA that matched the woman.
Semen
yes,
DNA, yes.
The semen DNA that matched. Basically, the DNA of the 3 accused were found in the woman's vagina. What else do you want as an evidence of rape? And still, the acquittal happened basis procedure. So that is one thing that our police force really need to be sensitized about. That when you're doing investigation, just foolproof investigation is not enough. You really have to get your papers straight. You have to maintain that record very well.
Holy thread of evidence, as it's called.
Absolutely.
Holy thread of evidence to do with to bring to book perpetrators of the unholiest acts, such as this one. So thank you very much, Ananya. You made my job much easier, and we might do some of this more often going ahead. Also, let me know, this was an unconventional way for us to do a Cut the Clutter. Tell me, did you like it? Did you not like it? Would you like us to do more of these? And what improvements you might wish to suggest, and we'll get back to you.